Time for another game theory video. I'm going to talk about that Daisuke Ishiwatari. He did that recent interview about the new Guilty Gear, and I'm just going to touch on some subjects that he commented on. And I want to talk about why the game is already awesome. Slightly clickbait by saying that from the video, and other things he talked about on man, I can't do. Like I said, I've been in the hospital a lot lately. I've been feeling like shit, so it's hard to speak English right now. And anyway, so one of the reasons that the Guilty Gear game is already going to be awesome is because it's new. Okay, automatically when something is new, generally as a human being, it's automatically interesting, no matter what you do. It's new, so someone wants to try it. So when you see in the interview someone say like, "Oh, we're building the game up from scratch," even as someone who likes the old Guilty Gears, I should say. You know what I mean? Not a big fan of XR, but the old Guilty Gears. You know what I mean? Even someone like Street Fighter, whatever. When you hear a game is brand new, it's like, oh, that's pretty interesting, right? No matter what you do. Even if they say Dragon Ball Fighter Z, right? Dragon Ball Fighter Z was interesting to me because it was brand new, totally new, a different kind of game, right? Like, oh, it's new, right? So the idea of making a new Guilty Gear from scratch, even, you know what I mean? That's actually automatically interesting. Who knows? Maybe it's going to be interesting in a bad way, but for the time being, before you play it, it's interesting in a good way. You know what I mean? 'Cause you're like, wow, as a human being, maybe it's that like sense of wanting to explore something. You're like, wow, I want to try this new thing. I want to see what this is about. What is this Popeye's chicken sandwich? Is this pop? Is this really good? I mean, I've eaten a chicken sandwich before, but they're telling me it's new. So I gotta fucking try it, right? It's a Guilty Gear. It's a fighting game, but it's brand new, so I'm kind of interested to see what it's like, right? So that's all. So the idea of, in that sense, just from that quote, of wanting to try something brand new, building the game from scratch, that doesn't worry me in that sense, right? That's actually awesome. Hopefully, there's a lot of new shit. But we get to one of the problems, and I've talked about this before in the game theory videos, is too many times in life, in video games, you do one step forward, two steps back. Dragon Ball Fighter Z, I've talked about, is not a bad game because of the new things. The new things are the most interesting shit about it. Vanishes, homing dash, fireballs, all this kind of shit, right? You know what I mean? That's interesting. Dragon Ball Fighter Z is a failure of a game because the old stuff that makes fighting games is bad in it. The fundamental aspects of what makes a fighting game are bad in Dragon Ball Fighter Z. That's what ruins it, right? But the new things are good. Let's look at examples because they also talked about, when you're talking about are they going to dumb down the game or not, right? Well, let's look at one of the quotes was he's like, I don't want the game, whatever he said, and I read a little bit of it in Japanese myself, but just to make sure the guy, whoever's translating, like I was like, okay, it looks like this is what he was saying. So then I just read the translation, but I looked at the Japanese a little bit, but there's this idea that like, oh, we want to make the game more not beginner friendly, like easier to get into, I think they said. Get into from scratch, whatever the fucking phrase they used, you know what I mean? Not necessarily for beginners, but beginners can get into it easier. Again, whatever wording they used. But we don't want to make it about who can do the hardest combo. And this is an interesting thing because remember I've talked about one of the reasons that combos have continued to progress to what they are in video games nowadays is not just because of video games, everything in life progresses, but also because of the backlash to fundamentals that people don't like in fighting games or they try to complain about. I've used the example of look at old games like Street Fighter. Whether or not you don't like Street Fighter or not, whatever, maybe you don't like Fireball, Dragon Punch characters, whatever. But that's still a fundamental idea of what all fighting games are based around, right? Kai is considered a shodo, right? You know what I mean? You think about, that even some people might consider Soul a shodo, right? So we have this idea in our brains, in our heads, of what is a, fighting game. So we have fireballs and dragon punch traps, right? Well, back in the day, once we got to Super Turbo, there was such a backlash of fireballs and dragon punches. Like, man, why does this character, dragon punches are too powerful. So they actually started toning down the dragon punch, and they started actually giving characters that were not normally considered fireball dragon punch characters. Like, say, why is Belrog's DP more invincible than Ryu's? That's fucking stupid, right? But again, that's a backlash to a common idea of what makes a fighting game. You know what I mean? People were angry that such a fundamental aspect of a video game could have such a drastic um, impact on the match. A character doing just a DP, that random guessing and all your strategy, you know what I mean? And it's funny because there's actually someone like that fighting game translated actually talked about Daigo even said the same thing actually. There's this idea of all these strategies and everything like this, but there's also that fundamental idea of like some people were mad that a character could just do walk up throw, walk up DP. It seems so simple, but even on a simple level, that DP can have such a drastic effect on the match because it's just that powerful in the context of the game. So then you got the Super Turbo, and they started toning down the, again, normally considered Dragon Punch characters. Then other characters had better Dragon Punches. Then we moved on to games like Alpha, and they're like, well, fuck, we still need to tone down Fireballs and Dragon Punches. Let's add some rolls so you can't get trapped in the corner as easily. Rolls let you get out. We had air blocks. Again, Dragon Punches are getting weaker and weaker, and we're adding in more combos, and the DPs are doing less. So DPs are less invincible. They do less damage in the grand scheme of the game. There's more ways to get out of these quotation marks traps, you know what I mean? And we're adding combos. But then the problem was the Jimmy of video games also saw that, well, fuck, not only am I not good at the game fundamentally, even when they added combos, so I thought, well, if I'm not good at the game, maybe I can do combos. Maybe I can do the hardest beat media combo. And they still lost because they realized, being able to do a combo doesn't necessarily make you good at a game, right? So just combos progressed in games, not just because games progress, but all these new features in games getting, perhaps more complicated was because of a backlash to such simple fundamentals. And that's one of the problems of games. You're talking about you want to get rid of these quotation marks hard combos. Well, you're going to be getting rid of these hard, again, quotation mark combos, but you also have already bastardized fundamentals of what makes a fighting game a fighting game. Look at a game, again, Dragon Ball Fighter Z. I think they added like, you can't, weren't they actually making so you can't DP? What was that one patch? The DPs aren't invincible when they come out as an assist or some shit, and they don't want you to be able to call an assist when you do a DP. It's like you're making a rule. You're making it so this character doesn't follow the same rules as the game that you've made. You're changing fundamental rules. So what I'm trying to get at here is even if you do start the game off from scratch, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, it could be an interesting thing, right? You know what I mean? Anything new is potentially interesting, or at least interesting at the start. But if the game is fundamentally fucked up, it's a fundamentally fucked up game. You know what I mean? So even if combos are a little bit easier, well, fuck, hopefully Guilty Gear, at least when the older Guilty Gears, there was a good, there was some goodwill with the fundamentals. You know what I mean? DPs were still DPs in Guilty Gear. You know what I mean? And there's still like a lot of like, I've talked about Guilty Gear. Guilty Gear does have some goodwill. You think about all the new things and Guilty Gear Arc System Wars does have a pretty good track record of adding new things in games that are like interesting. Like FD is interesting. God, think about Instant Block. You know what I mean? FRCs were interesting. RCs were interesting. Even YRCs, are interesting, right? But it came to a point where even once we get to like YRCs, even though they added something, they took away something. They took away FRCs. You know what I mean? So again, one step forward, two steps back. You know what I mean? It's like that's why I was thinking like even like when people were complaining that Fireball Dragon Punch traps were too good in old school games, they went too far. Not only did they give you more ways around the Fireball and the Dragon Punch trap, they also toned down the DP. They took away that fun aspect of people that enjoy being able to randomly DP shit. Just like maybe you don't like the Fireball Dragon Punch character, you have to realize that your character was given stuff to get around those fireballs and Dragon Punch. So don't you actually And from some perspective, you do like the Fireball and Dragon Punch because your character was given stuff around it. But people complain so to such an extreme extent that, one step forward, two steps back, right? You're taking away the fun. So I don't know if you get what I'm trying to get at here, but what I was trying to say is that the idea of making a Guilty Gear from scratch isn't bad, right? Because new things are fun. But if you put a bullshit fundamental game, it's going to be a bullshit game, right? You can't, don't ruin the fundamentals of what make fighting games fun. That's what I hope they don't do, right? New Guilty Gear, lots of new mechanics, right? But don't ruin the fundamentals of what makes a fighting game fun. Don't make the fundamentals of what Guilty Gear, what we all enjoy Guilty Gear generally fun, right? Don't add this one thing, but then you took away all this other shit because that's stupid. That's one step forward, two steps back. Like, who wants to do that, right? I also thought the interview was interesting because I love when I make these videos and people like they think they're smarter than me, and it's like I love how there are actually people like, oh, Clayton, you don't know what you're talking about, macros and like button mapping and all this kind of stuff. Obviously, they've made all the Guilty Gears with the idea of like they want people to button map, they want people to macros. That's what all games are made for. And then in the interviews, like Guilty Gear has always been designed to be played on an arcade stick. It's never been designed for a console in mind. So just remember that I got so much hate from people trying to say that Clayton has no idea what he's talking about, that Guilty Gear has always been developed. All these games are always developed for the person to macro and button map everything. That's why it's in the game. Jesus fucking Christ. I cannot believe people like who knows though, apparently this game is designed for a more Western audience, I think it said, right? Are we East or Western? I think we're Western in America. I don't remember, dude. But I always think it's so funny that when people try to talk shit about me and they have no idea what they're talking about. But who knows? This next game, maybe they do have button mapping in mind. If this game actually is supposedly designed with the Western mindset. But you know what? If this Western mindset is why they make games like BlazBlue, Cross Battle, Fuck My TDs, you know what I mean, with one button DPs and all this kind of shit. Hopefully that's not the case because count me out because the game is fucking shit. I don't care about playing a Beat Mania game, dude. That's fucking bullshit, right? So again, the idea of a new game from scratch, awesome. But I hope the fundamental game they're making is actually a good game and not a bullshit game. Because I don't want to play bullshit. I don't care. Right? Dragon Ball Fighter Z. I don't care because it's a bullshit game fundamentally. It's stupid. But I do like all the new stuff, right? The new stuff is interesting. I just wish the basic idea of what makes fighting games fun was fun in it. But it's not. And then finally, I don't know if there's anything else to say. Hopefully we'll see some gameplay soon. One thing too, and people are like, "Oh, will Clay never play a fighting game again?" I don't have again. I won my last tournament. I don't care. Um, Especially if these games aren't fundamentally fun, right? You know what I mean? That's why I just make combo videos. But I will say I'm gonna throw some people under the bus here too, because I saw some people talking shit about me in some of these recent videos too. And I don't know if people see this. I guess maybe they watch this. Like, I'm gonna throw them under the bus, dude. Right? This is funny, dude. I saw some people, this group of people, talking shit about me in this Discord about the stuff I was saying, which again is proven that's true, right? People don't know what the fuck. I don't know what I'm talking about. Well, again, constantly, it looks like I do year after year. When, so anyway, this Team Yase. I don't know if you've ever seen these guys, right? I don't know if people know this, but a lot of these Team Yase is that what the fuck they call themselves? They actually don't live far from me, right? And I've talked about before, throughout the years, I'm going to throw them under the bus. I'm going to call their fucking bluff, right? Throughout the years, maybe 3, 4 years, whatever. Again, I don't play a lot of video games, but I've said before, I actually have gone to some gatherings every now and then where people play video games. And a lot of these Team Yase guys actually like fucking live by me, right? Well, I'm going to tell you what, I've gone to maybe 4 or 5 of these again throughout 3 or 4 years. I don't know. It's not like an often thing. Don't play a lot of video games. Every time I've gone, it's like, oh, Clayton, you don't live far. Why don't you come play Guilty Gear with us, right? So play old school Guilty Gear. I don't remember ever losing a single match. I think each time I went there, and I've only gone there like 4 or 5 times to these gatherings that they've had, I think I won 50 times each time. And once I would get to 50 wins, I would just lose. I don't think I've ever lost a match to this group of fucks, right? And we know what's even crazier? I remember one time I brought these motherfuckers cookies. I actually bought them Golden Graham treats, so it's even better than cookies. But let's say cookies because it sounds funnier. Just to be nice, I was like, "Oh, okay, you guys are doing like I'll bring her some fucking cookies." I actually brought over Golden Graham treats and I gave it to everyone. You know what I mean? Just to be nice, be a friendly person, right? And so anyway, the point is, like I said, we played, and it's not like I'm playing games. You know, it's like, oh, you live in the area. Like, would you actually come and play us before? I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll stop by for an hour or two. And again, I think, I've gone maybe 4 or 5 times within all the years they've lived by me, and I think I won, 50 times each time, and then I would just leave, right? Don't remember ever losing. And so when I see these fucks go around on Discords, Facebook, all these other things talking about shit, like I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, video games and all this kind of shit. And I was so fucking shocked by that. And I messaged Jay, who's like one of the leaders. I'm like, dude, I've gone to these gatherings. Like, why are all these guys like in this group? Like, you're just letting all these dudes like talk shit about me? I fucking brought you motherfuckers cookies after I fucking kicked your asses, dude. Like, what are you talking about? And he didn't even respond. So, and the thing is, I've even seen people like some of these guys just because, we don't live super far away. So I've seen them like at the mall and everything like that randomly. I've been friendly. And I just think, man, dude, do people really think I would ever enter tournaments again? Like these dudes, they run Michigan Masters and everything like that. What fucking scum are these people, dude? People are so insecure about losing to me in video games year after year after year, dude. I don't even enter tournaments anymore. You can still look up some of the tournaments I used to win. Sick as fuck. Why are you guys so? And people think, Clay, when you ever enter tournaments again, fuck, dude, this new Guilty Gear, I have no intention of even playing casual with anyone in this fucking state, dude. I mean, who am I gonna play? I have a few friends, you know what I mean? But I sure as fuck am not gonna go to any of the big group gatherings here because apparently they were so butthurt that they lost to me when I've only showed up again 4 or 5 times within all the years that they've lived near me. They went and made shit up, and I'm like, dude, why would you do that? Are you so insecure that you're just gonna go? I'm like, dude, why are all you guys are going around talking shit about me? You motherfuckers didn't beat me. Like, what the fuck, dude? And I'm not saying they didn't say they beat me. No, I'm not saying, maybe they have, I just haven't seen it. I just saw them talking shit like I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm like, bullshit, I'm an asshole. It's like, motherfucker, I brought you motherfuckers cookies after I kicked your ass, you fucking idiot. So anyway, so it's like, who would I play? What group gatherings where I live would I go to? I have a few friends, but we don't care about tournaments anymore, right? So it's like, you think I'm gonna go play like all you guys, you still all enter tournaments, and you're so insecure that you lose to me every time we fucking played that you go talk shit on the internet. And who knows, maybe they have said they beat me or something, which would be even more ridiculous, right? But anyway, I just want to call those fuckers out because I thought that was really ridiculous that I saw them say that. And I was like, I cannot believe I've been nice to these guys. So fuck those assholes. The end.